Let's start this with you drop your location and the exact time you're watching this down in the comments, because you're about to hear how one routine flight check at 2:47 p.m. turned into a front row seat for the most expensive slip of the tongue in airline history. The air inside first class is doing that recycled air thing to dry to drink, too cool for comfort, and the leather seats smell faintly of citrus wipe-downs. Dr. Zara Washington steps in, her navy blazer crisp, her briefcase's brass lock gleaming just enough to catch the overhead light. She's halfway to seat 2A when a manicured hand blocks her path. "This particular seat might be challenging for someone of your dimensions," says Miranda Hayes, the flight attendant, with a smile sharp enough to slice tangerines. Historians still argue whether she meant it as a clumsy attempt at helpfulness or a calculated little dagger, but whatever it was, it stops Zara mid-step. The gesture toward the seat is theatrical, the kind of move that makes you wonder if she rehearsed it in the mirror. A few heads swivel, then a few more. Phones slip up from pockets like prairie dogs checking for hawks. One teenager's tick-tock counter jumps from 47 to over 100 in seconds. Zara's face stays marble calm, though her knuckles tighten just a hair around that brief cassiere's weight in there, the kind that isn't just paper. Miranda taps the boarding pass like she's tapping a fish tank. "Ma'am, are you sure you're in the right section?" Someone in row 4 whispers, "Oh," and the murmur spreads. David Rodriguez, the gate supervisor, arrives with a mustache twitching in official solidarity. The two exchange stage whispers about policy compliance loud enough to hit the back row. Somewhere behind them, a businessman starts drafting a LinkedIn post, because in 2025, social outrage is just one viral thread away from becoming a resume builder. Zara sits anyway smoothly, deliberately pulling out her phone like she's texting about dinner plans, when in fact she's updating Pentagon colleagues about a security call they might need to handle without her. Her Rolex catches a shard of cabin light, and if anyone knew where she'd gotten it, they might think twice before playing ticket police. But Miranda doubles down, talking about fake documents and first-class appropriateness, while the live stream pushes past 2,000 viewers. It's the perfect storm, an audience, a performer, and a target who knows exactly how to let the rope spool out before she gives it a sharp tug. The gate area is now less an airport and more a gladiator arena, with phones replacing swords. Every angle of Miranda's performance is being captured. One kid's live stream, a trainee's work tablet, even a guy in 3B pretending to scroll LinkedIn while filming like it's his side hustle. And Zara, still seated, still calm, is giving the sort of unbothered looks usually reserved for people who know they can make one phone call and move mountains. Security arrives. Officer Martinez, a man who can read trouble before it speaks. He asks for Zara's ID, glances at it, and the flicker in his eyes is quick but clear. This is someone. He hands it back without question. Miranda doesn't notice. She's got the crowd now, feeding them lines about passenger safety and company policy, like an amateur comic who doesn't realize the audience is laughing at her, not with her. Somewhere in the mess, Sarah, the trainee, spots the partially hidden logo on Zara's briefcaseral aviation admin, and her brow furrows. The live stream crosses 15,000 viewers. Hashtags start popping. Flight 447, traveling while black like popcorn on a hot skillet. Meanwhile, Zara reaches into her case and, without a hint of drama, places a document on the tray table. The letterhead flashes under fluorescent light. Department of Homeland Security, Aviation Security Division. It's the sort of official paper that makes even seasoned security chiefs step back. And sure enough, Chief Rebecca Walsh arrives within minutes, eyes scanning the scene like she's reading a threat assessment. Historians still argue whether Miranda's next move was career suicide or just momentum gone rogue, but she tells Walsh, this passenger doesn't belong in first class. That's when Zara flips to the contract page. Ultramax Airlines Federal Security Contractor Agreement. Annual value $1.247 billion, and her name printed as Deputy Director, TSA. The air thins. The phones tilt forward. Somewhere in Ultramax's headquarters, a stock ticker twitches down 2% in 7 minutes. David's radio crackles. Corporate wants answers. Legal is on standby, and the CEO is being patched into an emergency call. The LinkedIn post from 3B is already shared hundreds of times. And Zara? She's just looking at her watch, calculating how many minutes she has before her Pentagon briefing, while around her, the airline's entire executive chain is beginning to feel the ground tilt beneath their feet. The moment the rope tightens, Miranda finally senses the pull. By the time CEO Jonathan Roberts storms in, tie crooked and face pale, the scene has morphed into a full-blown corporate crisis. He's flanked by legal, PR, and the head of federal contracts, each one wearing the same look you'd expect from passengers on a sinking ship. Roberts introduces himself, offers apologies wrapped in business school sincerity, but Zara's already laying out the stakes. Termination of involved personnel, $100 million diversity initiative, independent federal monitoring, and public transparency reporting. It's not a negotiation, it's an audit with a pulse. Historians still argue whether Roberts' quick agreement came from genuine remorse or sheer survival instinct. But his legal team is already drafting compliance documents before he's finished nodding. The live stream is past 150,000 viewers, celebrity tweets are flooding in, and Ultramax stock has dropped 23% in under 20 minutes. In the front row, Sarah, the same trainee who hit record at the start, realizes she's holding footage that could become mandatory viewing in corporate training for decades. Zara works like a surgeon, documenting names, IDs, timestamps. Every witness who raises a hand gets logged. She cites Section 14.3 of Federal Contractor Compliance, spelling out the exact clause that triggers contract termination for discrimination. Somewhere in the crowd, the businessman from 3B mutters "game over" under his breath. Roberts doesn't argue he can't. One wrong move, and Ultramax loses not just $1.2 billion a year, but every other government deal tied to their security operations. The agreement is reached with 17 minutes to spare before Zara's Pentagon meeting. Miranda has already been escorted out, her 8-year spotless record erased in a single afternoon. David's been suspended, badge revoked before he leaves the gate. Roberts shakes Zara's hand like a man signing a stay of execution, promising reforms so sweeping they'll become the industry's gold standard. And through it all, Zara stays calm, blazer neat, briefcase locked, proving you don't have to raise your voice to change the air in a room. The plane boards. Passengers give her a standing ovation that lasts nearly a minute, the sound echoing through every phone camera still pointed her way. By the time wheels leave the tarmac, Flight 447 isn't just a trip, it's a case study in how one person's composure can rewrite an entire industry's rulebook. The heat of it all fades slowly, like steam lifting from a runway after rain, leaving only the steady hum of engines and the quiet knowledge that something irreversible has happened. Zara leans back, not to rest, but to measure the shift, how one confrontation in a cabin aisle pulled an invisible thread straight into the halls of power. Outside her window, the clouds drift in long white sheets, sunlight spilling across them in soft gold, and for a moment the world looks gentler than it did an hour ago. Down below, Ultramax headquarters is already rewriting its manuals, HR departments are scheduling trainings, and somewhere in a small break room, a new hire is being told the Flight 447 story not as gossip, but as a warning. The live streams are still being shared, reaction videos multiplying like ripples from a stone's drop. But the sharp edges of the moment are dulling into something sturdier, precedent, set quietly at 30,000 feet. Zara closes her eyes, lets her breathing fall into the slow rhythm of travel. This wasn't about humiliation or revenge. It was about the architecture of change, the patient layering of evidence, the precision of timing, the refusal to be pulled into a smaller frame than she deserved. She knows the next meeting will be another kind of turbulence, the kind made of suits and policy language, but that doesn't worry her. She's flown through worse. When the wheels touch down at Reagan National, the applause is quieter this time, but no less certain. The passengers disembark into a terminal already buzzing with news crews and government escorts. The revolution she set in motion will keep moving without her, and that, she thinks, is the real victory. Somewhere quietly, another rope is starting to tighten.